The Young and the Restless spoilers, a shocking discovery. Nick Newman's heart pounded as he slammed his shoulder against the rusted door in Jordan's underground bunker. The sound echoed through the dimly lit space, a stark reminder of the danger lurking within. Sharon stood behind him, her hands trembling as she gripped a flashlight, illuminating the darkened corridor. With one final push, the door gave way, revealing a horrifying sight. A young woman, frail and pale, was chained to a rusted pipe. Her hair was matted, her clothes torn, and her breathing shallow. It was Heather. Her condition was dire, her weak frame slumped against the damp wall. The sight left both Nick and Sharon frozen in a moment of disbelief and horror. Heather's voice was barely a whisper as she lifted her head. "Help me!" Nick rushed to her side, his hands fumbling to undo the chains that bound her. "Heather, it's okay. I've got you," he said, his voice firm yet gentle. He worked quickly, his strength fueled by a mixture of adrenaline and fury. Sharon knelt beside him, offering what comfort she could, stroking Heather's hair and murmuring reassurances. Once the chains were removed, Nick handed Heather a bottle of water he had brought. She drank greedily but weakly, her body trembling as she tried to regain her strength. "You're safe now," Nick assured her, his tone steady despite the storm of emotions swirling inside him. The depth of Jordan's cruelty as Heather clung to the bottle of water. Sharon looked around the room, her flashlight revealing the horrifying reality of Jordan's depravity. The space was damp, cold, and void of humanity. It was clear this wasn't just a place of captivity, it was a place designed to break the spirit. Sharon's voice cracked with emotion as she said, "If we hadn't found her in time, she wouldn't have survived." Nick's jaw tightened, his mind racing with anger and questions. Why would Jordan do this? How could anyone be so heartless? The realization was chilling. If he and Sharon hadn't arrived when they did, Heather might not have made it through the night. And Sharon, too, could have faced a similar fate. "She's a monster," Nick muttered through gritted teeth, his resolve to stop Jordan stronger than ever. A race against time with Heather's condition so precarious, Nick wasted no time. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911, giving the emergency dispatcher their location. "We have a severely dehydrated and malnourished woman. We need an ambulance here immediately," he said, his voice urgent but controlled. Minutes later, the wail of sirens pierced the stillness of the night. Paramedics arrived swiftly, carefully lifting Heather onto a stretcher. As they prepared to transport her to the hospital, Nick gave clear instructions to the team. "No one outside of this room can know about her condition, not yet. This stays between us." The paramedics nodded, understanding the gravity of his request. Heather's survival was paramount, but Nick also needed to keep their discovery under wraps. He couldn't risk Jordan, or her potential allies, learning that Heather had been found. The element of surprise was the only advantage they had left. A secret mission at the hospital, Nick stayed by Heather's side as doctors assessed her condition. She was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and suffering from the physical and emotional toll of her captivity. But she was alive, and Nick clung to that fact as a small victory. He instructed the medical staff to keep Heather's identity confidential. Even Daniel and Phyllis, who would be devastated to learn what had happened to Heather, were left in the dark. "For now, this stays between us," Nick told them firmly. "Her safety depends on it." Sharon, though shaken, supported Nick's decision. "Jordan can't know we found her," she said. "If she thinks we're still in the dark, she might slip up. And that's when we'll stop her for good." Nick's resolve as Nick sat by Heather's bedside, watching her fragile chest rise and fall with each breath, he felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility. Jordan's cruelty had nearly claimed another victim, and he couldn't let it happen again. "This ends now," he whispered to himself. "Jordan doesn't get to destroy anyone else." He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Jordan was clever, calculating, and dangerous. But Nick had something she didn't, a reason to fight. His love for Sharon, his bond with his family, and his determination to see justice served fueled his resolve. The Newman family's next move back at the Newman ranch, Victor, Nikki, and Michael gathered to discuss their next steps. Nick shared the details of Heather's rescue, but he emphasized the need for secrecy. "We can't make a move until we know exactly where Jordan is," he said. "If she catches wind of this, she'll disappear, and we might never find her." Victor nodded, his expression grim. "We'll keep her in the dark. Let her think she's still in control. Meanwhile, we'll tighten the net around her." Michael, ever the strategist, added, "We'll need to work fast. The longer she's out there, the more dangerous she becomes." Nick agreed, his focus unwavering. "I don't care what it takes. We're going to find her, and we're going to make sure she never hurts anyone again." A light in the darkness for now, Heather's survival was the only thing that mattered. She was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, hope could prevail. As Nick prepared for the battles ahead, he vowed to protect not just Sharon and Heather, but everyone Jordan had hurt. The Newman family had faced countless challenges over the years, but this time, they were united by a singular purpose: to end Jordan's reign of terror once and for all. This continuation highlights the emotional intensity of Heather's rescue, Nick's determination, and the Newman family's strategic approach to stopping Jordan. Let me know if you'd like further refinements or additional developments. A light at the end of the tunnel. Heather's survival was nothing short of a miracle, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness that Jordan had cast over Genoa City. But as the Newman family and their allies regrouped, one critical question loomed large: how could they ensure that Jordan would be held accountable for her crimes? And perhaps more chillingly, who else might be complicit in her nefarious schemes? The quest for justice. To build a strong case against Jordan, the Newmans knew they needed more than Heather's testimony. Jordan was cunning and manipulative, capable of weaving lies to escape justice. Victor, with his unparalleled strategic mind, took the lead. "We need concrete evidence," he told Michael and Nick. "Proof that ties Jordan to Heather's abduction and every other crime she's committed. And if she has allies, we'll expose them too." Michael, ever the meticulous legal expert, agreed. Her escape from prison wasn't a solo operation. Someone helped her, and that someone could be key to bringing her down. "We need to follow the money, trace her movements, and find every shred of evidence we can." Sharon's brave proposal. While the others worked on gathering evidence, Sharon had her own idea. The ordeal had reminded her of the fragility of life and the importance of unity. Despite the years of animosity between her and Phyllis, Sharon saw an opportunity to mend fences. After all, this situation impacted Phyllis just as much. It was her daughter, Heather, who had suffered. "I want to tell Phyllis," Sharon told Nick. "She deserves to know the truth about what happened to Heather. And maybe this can be the start of something better between us." Nick hesitated. Sharon and Phyllis had a history filled with tension, betrayal, and rivalry. But he also recognized the courage it took for Sharon to suggest such a thing. "If you think this is the right thing to do, then I support you," he said. Sharon and Phyllis, a chance for reconciliation. The meeting between Sharon and Phyllis was emotional and raw. When Sharon revealed the details of Heather's rescue, Phyllis's initial shock quickly gave way to relief and gratitude. "You saved her," Phyllis said, her voice trembling. "Thank you." "It wasn't just me," Sharon replied. "Nick and everyone else worked just as hard. But I wanted you to know because I think it's time we stop fighting. Heather doesn't need us at each other's throats. She needs us to support her, together." Phyllis nodded, tears streaming down her face. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's time." The moment marked a tentative truce between two women who had spent years as rivals. Whether it would last remained to be seen, but for now, they were united in their desire to see Jordan brought to justice. Unmasking the bigger picture. As the Newmans continued their investigation, more disturbing truths began to surface. Michael uncovered financial transactions that suggested Jordan had worked closely with Ian Ward, her longtime partner in crime. Ian, who had always operated in the shadows, appeared to have orchestrated much of Jordan's escape and subsequent plans. The revelations were damning, but they also raised more questions. Who else had been aiding Ian and Jordan? Were there others in Genoa City, or beyond, who shared their twisted ambitions? Victor wasn't surprised. Ian Ward never works alone, he said grimly. We've dealt with him before, but this time we finish it. The final chapter for Jordan and Ian. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation. Armed with evidence, the Newmans prepared to turn the tables on Jordan and Ian. Their crimes, which had brought so much chaos and pain to Genoa City, were finally catching up to them. Jordan's journey, though short-lived, had left a lasting impression. Her ruthlessness, her cunning, and her audacity had made her a formidable adversary. Ian, too, had once again proven why he was one of Genoa City's most infamous villains. Together, they had created a whirlwind of drama, suspense, and intrigue. But every story must have an end, and theirs was rapidly approaching. The audience's role. What made this story even more compelling was how it resonated with the audience. The writers of The Young and the Restless had masterfully crafted a tale that balanced suspense with emotional depth, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. They knew how to cater to their fans' desires, bringing back beloved characters and creating moments of pure drama. Jordan and Ian's return to Genoa City may have been brief, but it was impactful. They stirred up old wounds, created new conflicts, and reminded everyone why they were so unforgettable in the first place. A future full of possibilities. As the dust began to settle, Genoa City prepared for what lay ahead. Heather's recovery, Sharon and Phyllis's potential reconciliation, and the looming fallout from Jordan and Ian's crimes all promised new beginnings and fresh challenges. The writers had left the door open for more surprises. Who else might return to Genoa City? What new alliances would form, and what old rivalries would reignite? One thing was certain: Genoa City was never dull, and its residents would continue to captivate audiences for years to come. This continuation ties up loose ends while leaving room for future storylines, blending emotional closure with ongoing intrigue. Let me know if you'd like further refinements or additional details. Smiling face with smiling eyes.